Hi, my name is Mrs Fellows and I'm the Head of English, and I'm here to talk to you about top tips to help your child succeed with their GCSE English Language and GCSE English Literature courses. I'm just going to give you some of the provisional dates that have been set for these two courses. So for English Language, paper 1 is actually earlier than it usually is. It's just before half term, and this is the paper where students are given an unseen fiction extract to analyse, and they have to create something, either a story or a description themselves in the second half of this paper. And then paper 2 is on Thursday the 10th of June, which is again two unseen non-fiction extracts that students have to analyse, and then they're given a transactional writing task. I've also put the exam board on this slide. We do AQA for English Language. We do two different exam boards, one for English Language and one for English Literature. So it is AQA for English Language. It's important that if you find anything online or any revision resources, that they are either generic or specifically for AQA, because the questions are structured slightly differently for different exams. Then for English Literature, we complete the EdXL course, and their papers are slightly later than normal. So we've got paper 1, which is usually before half term. This time is after half term to give you a bit more time to support your child to revise. So then that paper consists of analysing their Shakespeare text and Inspector calls. So they'll either answer 2 questions on Romeo and Juliet or Macbeth, depending on which text they've studied, and 1 question on Inspector calls. And then paper 2, they're answering a question on A Christmas Carol. Again, 1 extract and 1 essay-based question. In terms of changes to the courses, there have been no changes to the examined elements of the English Language course. The only change that has taken place for English Language is for the spoken language endorsement. This no longer needs to be recorded and sent off, it just needs to be completed in front of a teacher. And these will be taking place throughout the year as we go through. So all students will complete one in front of their teacher, but it doesn't have to be recorded. The English Literature course, they have changed slightly. You only examine now on 3 texts instead of 4 sections. Paper 1 for EdXL was compulsory, so Shakespeare and your modern text, which we study in Inspector calls, are the compulsory components. And it was paper 2 where you had the choice between 19th century fiction or a Christmas Carol text. 19th century fiction, A Christmas Carol, or your poetry. As we hadn't studied the poetry, we obviously decided to drop the poetry. So for our course this year, all students are doing Shakespeare and Inspector calls and A Christmas Carol, which means that we've only got Shakespeare left to finish. Which brings me on to the next slide, how we are supporting your child. We've obviously amended the course in light of the changes, and because of these changes, we will be completing our course by January at the latest. And therefore that enables us to have, from the end of January right up until students start their exams, purely focused on revision. So revising the themes that are in each of the literature texts, revising all of the different question types for language. Obviously, therefore, that will enable us to help your child be extremely ready and secure in their understanding of these texts before their exam. We've also will be and have identified strengths and weaknesses from mocks and assessments, and obviously we're using these to tailor our teaching, and this will become even more significant and noticeable next after the December mocks and when we've completed the course, because obviously then everything that we're teaching will be targeting those areas of development based on those mocks themselves. We've started some period 5s for targeted individuals based on the assessments that we've done centrally, and these will start to roll out across the department as well. So individual teachers will be running these. We've also got breakfast clubs set up for targeted individuals. All of our homeworks this year are revision based, using strategies that have been shared with the students. So we're asking students to create revision resources or learn specific aspects of the course to prepare them again for that final exam. And equally, we've given students a booklet, revision checklist and knowledge organisers that have been emailed out but also given to students. We've also created a list of website links for revision tasks that have been emailed to students, because obviously some students prefer to watch things as opposed to making their individual notes and make notes from website links and stuff. So we're providing those alongside as well. How can you help your child revise English literature? If possible, read the set text yourself so you can discuss them and test your child on the plot lines and the order of events and characters, and make sure that your child is also rereading these texts. It's extremely important that they know these texts inside and out. They know exactly what's happening in what order. Encourage your child to create the revision resources and check that they are using the maximum success revision strategies that they had a presentation on, and equally test them on the knowledge. You've got the knowledge organisers as well, the students have. You can access those and test them on the basic knowledge that they need to have. Equally check that your child understands that there are different question types equally for literature as there are for language, and they need to understand what the examiner is looking for in their answers. And again, check that homework is being done regularly. And for language, reading is extremely important for language, especially for unseen. So talk to your child about what they're reading, encourage them to read extracts from quality newspapers and fiction and non-fiction, and a range of fiction and non-fiction. Look at their written work, check for technical accuracy. Is it written in the correct style, formal or informal? Again, check that their child understands the different requirements for each question. Especially for language, each question is set up to test a specific skill. So they need to know what skill is being tested and how they show that they understand what they need to do for that skill. And equally, the different styles of writing is important. They need to be able to talk about the 5 different styles of writing for transactional, and what makes a narrative and what makes a descriptive writing piece. Again, all of this is on the knowledge organisers that have been given to the students, so you can use those to help test your child. Revision resources, everything that we have given to students and any additional support is on WISE. So if you go into our WISE page, which is on English and Key Stage 4, you'll see there's 2 different folders. The Revision 20 to 21 is the first folder that we've got, and then we've got different files for language and for literature. Within the language folder, we've got each paper set up. So in there, you will have practice exam papers, mark schemes, knowledge organisers, and revision checklists for both paper 1 and 2. Then you've got the AOs and the language paper overview. So if you're looking at what different questions are being assessed for, it will give you that information. We've got some worksheets on developing different vocab, so some research on synonyms for different types of words to help with creative and transactional writing. And then the revision links, so different websites that they can look at to support with their English language. And then we've got the same for literature. You can see it's slightly set up slightly differently for literature. We've got the exam papers, the knowledge organiser and checklist. We've also got some revision guides and booklets just to help with literature a bit more, because obviously it's content heavy. So there are some different tasks and activities depending on what text you are doing to work through. And then equally the revision links document, again showing videos and websites that go over different task types, or equally look at different characters and different things. And then we've also got this skills booster pack, so it may come alight when your child does assessments or mocks, or equally they find a specific skill difficult, for example, analysing language. If they do, then they can look in the language book folder, and there are 2 different skills packs in each of these, one for a target 5 and one for a target 7. And again, there's just activities that your child can work through depending on which element they need to work on to support their revision. Again, these will be things that we can target them to and maybe suggesting to your child based on the assessments that we've seen, and equally based on the marks. We may be saying to your child, go away and look at the skills booster pack for structure, for example, and that's where you find all of those. This is the revision link document that has been sent to students, so you can see it's split into English language and English literature, and there's lots of different types of videos and clips and different places to go to look at for revision. So again, they're quite useful, and equally, if you want to, you can watch them with your child to gain an understanding of what it is that they need to do. Other useful online resources, Seneca Learning is really useful. They do courses and they do quizzes and they do summative assessments. So you can log in as a parent, you can sign up as a child. There are different scales of sign up, so there's free, lots of things are free, which is fine. All of the quizzes are free. You can see, you put your subject in your exam board. Obviously we do Edexcel for literature, AQA for language. Content-wise for literature, it doesn't really matter. However, the questions that they ask for Edexcel are slightly different to the other exam boards, so just make sure that you're checking the right one. But that's a really useful tool. Equally, you can do quizzes and it gives you a score, and it will give you the skill that you need to work on as well. Bite-size BBC Bite-size GCSE, again, a more simplified version really. It just breaks down each aspect of the course, and again, it's separated by exam board, so make sure that for language you're looking at the AQA, so this is what it is. There's lots of different sections, so obviously analysing fiction is for paper 1. You can look in, there's little quizzes, there's little videos as well, just a different way of presenting the information really, which sometimes is nice for students to see consolidation of information. And then they do the same for literature. And again, it's by exam board, so look for edXL for literature and then click on the text that you're doing. And again, you've got quizzes, you've got summaries of text. Also, you can listen to podcasts. So the GCSE English Revision podcast is really useful. Again, they do literature and language. So literature isn't exam board related. It's all just to do with the text. So you can click on the text and it will talk to you about characters. It will talk to you about themes. And generally they are teachers who are providing the podcasts. And then they also do ones for specific questions on the language paper. So you don't have to listen to them all, or encourage your child to listen to the ones that they struggle with, because they give you top tips on approaches. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I hope you found that useful.